Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, we just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you all for watching. We truly appreciate your support. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, it's totally free, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest stories. Now, with all that said, let's jump straight into the story.
The cold air of the night bit at my cheeks as I hurried through the nearly empty station, my high heels clicking against the polished tiles. I was late again, and this time it wasn't just a work deadline. It was my grandmother's 85th birthday, and I had promised myself I wouldn't miss it. The train was due to depart in 5 minutes, and I had to catch it. My name is Maria, and I'm the kind of person who can talk to anyone about anything. I've always been outgoing, a social butterfly, even in moments of stress. But tonight, the shadow of the station seemed to loom over me, and the usual buzz of my thoughts was muted by a creeping sense of unease. I finally reached the platform just as the train's doors were closing. I jogged up and slipped in, breathless and slightly embarrassed. The train was mostly empty, which was unusual for this route, but I didn't think much of it. I found a seat near the back and settled in, pulling out my phone to check the time and my emails. It was 11:45 p.m., and I had a 2-hour journey ahead of me. The train started moving, and the rhythmic clatter of the wheels against the tracks began to lull me. I was about to put in my headphones when I noticed someone sitting across from me. My first thought was that the seat had been empty a moment ago. My second thought was that I must be seeing things, because I was the only one in the compartment, or so I had thought. The figure was a man, middle-aged, dressed in a suit that looked slightly too big for him. His skin was pale, almost translucent, and his eyes were a deep, unsettling black. He didn't move, and he didn't speak. He just sat there, staring at me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. I tried to convince myself it was just a trick of the light, a shadow cast by the dim overhead lamp. I glanced back at my phone, then up again. The man was still there, his gaze unwavering. I swallowed hard and tried to focus on my messages, but the sensation of being watched was overwhelming. "Excuse me," I said, my voice a bit shaky. "Are you okay?" He didn't respond. His expression didn't change. It was as if he was carved from stone, a statue come to life. I felt a shiver run down my spine. This was getting ridiculous. I was alone, and yet I wasn't. The man's presence was like a cold, heavy weight in the compartment. I looked around, hoping to see someone, anyone, who could confirm what I was seeing. The next compartment was empty, as was the one after that. The few other passengers on the train were scattered in the distance, their faces obscured by the darkness. "Is anyone sitting there?" I asked a woman in the next compartment, pointing to the seat across from me. She looked over, her eyebrows furrowing in confusion. "No, I don't think so. That seat's been empty since I got on." I thanked her and turned back to my phone, but the man's eyes were still on me. I forced myself to breathe and tried to distract myself with a game, but my fingers fumbled on the screen. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. After a few minutes, I decided to move. I stood up, trying to act casual, and walked to the next compartment. I found a seat by the window and sat down, hoping to feel more at ease. But as soon as I did, I saw him again, sitting across from me in this new compartment as well. My heart raced, and I stood up, almost knocking over the seat. "Are you serious?" I muttered, my voice trembling. I walked through the train, checking each compartment, but he was always there, always watching, always silent. It was as if he was a ghost, tethered to me, invisible to everyone else. I found a conductor and explained what was happening, but he just smiled and patted my arm. "You've had a long day, Maria. Maybe you should try to rest." I nodded, feeling a mix of frustration and fear. I returned to my original seat, but the man was gone. I let out a sigh of relief, slumping into the seat. Maybe I was just tired, overworked, and my mind was playing tricks on me. But as I closed my eyes, I felt his presence again, closer than before. When I opened my eyes, he was sitting right next to me, his arm touching mine. I jumped up, my heart pounding. "What do you want from me?" I demanded, my voice breaking. He finally spoke, his voice a low, raspy whisper. "You're the only one who can see me." I backed away, my legs hitting the seat behind me. "Who are you? Why me?" He leaned in, his breath cold against my ear. "My name is Thomas. I was once a man like any other, but now I am neither here nor there. I am stuck, you see, between this world and the next. And you, Maria, you are the key to my release." I stared at him, my mind racing. "How am I supposed to help you?" Thomas's eyes flickered, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of desperation. "I need you to listen to my story. I need you to understand. Only then can I move on." I hesitated, but the fear in his eyes was genuine, or at least, it seemed that way. "Okay, I'll listen. But you have to tell me everything I need to know to help you." He nodded, and I sat down, trying to ignore the cold that seemed to emanate from him. "I was a businessman, much like your father, I believe. I traveled often, always on the move. But one day, I made a deal with the wrong people. I sold my soul, for the promise of eternal success. I didn't realize what I was doing until it was too late." He paused, his gaze distant. "The train I'm on now is a purgatory, a limbo. I can't move on because I can't face the consequences of my actions. I've been here for years, watching as the world passes by, unable to interact, unable to make things right." I listened, my breath coming in short bursts. "But why me? Why can you only talk to me?" Thomas's eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw a glimmer of something human in them. "Because you are different. You see the world in a way that others don't. You have a heart that can forgive, and a mind that can understand. I need you to forgive me, to let me go." I shook my head, trying to process what he was saying. "I don't even know you. How can I forgive you for something you did to yourself?" He leaned back, his voice growing softer. "You don't have to forgive me for what I did to myself. You need to forgive me for the pain I caused others. The deals I made, the lives I ruined. I need your empathy, your compassion. Only then can I find peace." The train slowed, and I realized we were approaching a station. "We're almost to the next stop. What do you want me to do?" Thomas's eyes were filled with a mix of hope and despair. "Just tell someone, anyone, what I've told you. Let them know I was here, that I wanted to make amends. That's all I ask." The train came to a halt, and the doors opened. I stood up, my legs trembling. "I will. I promise." He nodded, and as the doors closed, he was gone. I was alone again, but the air in the compartment felt different, lighter. I walked to the next station, my mind racing with the weight of what I had just experienced. When I arrived, I found a bench and sat down, trying to gather my thoughts. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just made a pact with something otherworldly. But I had given my word, and I had to keep it. I decided to go to the station's information desk. The attendant, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, looked up as I approached. "Can I help you?" I took a deep breath and told her the story, every detail, from the moment I saw Thomas to our conversation. She listened, her expression a mix of curiosity and concern. When I finished, she placed a hand on my shoulder. "That's a heavy burden to carry, Maria. But I believe you. If it helps, I've heard stories about this train. Some say it's cursed, that it carries the souls of those who have wronged others. Maybe by sharing your story, you've helped him find peace." I nodded, feeling a strange sense of relief. "Thank you. I needed to hear that." I continued my journey, my mind racing with questions. Was Thomas even real? Was the train cursed? What did it all mean? But as the train picked up speed, I felt a sense of calm. Whatever had happened, I had done what I could to help. When I finally arrived at my grandmother's house, it was past midnight. The party was winding down, and I slipped inside, hoping I hadn't missed too much. My grandmother, with her silver hair and warm smile, hugged me tightly. "You made it. I was so worried." I smiled, feeling a lump in my throat. I'm here, Nana. I wouldn't miss this for the world. As I sat down at the table, surrounded by family, I felt a presence. I looked up, and for a moment, I thought I saw Thomas standing in the corner, his expression one of gratitude. But when I blinked, he was gone. The rest of the night passed in a blur, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. I had encountered the unknown, and I had faced it head-on. I wasn't sure if I had helped Thomas, but I knew I had tried. As I lay in bed that night, I thought about the train, the empty compartments, and the man who had sought my help. Maybe, just maybe, I had played a part in something bigger than myself. And maybe, just maybe, I had found a new understanding of the world, a world where the boundaries between the seen and the unseen were not as clear as I once thought. The next morning, I received a message on my phone. It was from the station attendant. "Thank you for sharing your story, Maria. I've been having strange experiences on that train too. Maybe we've both helped someone tonight." I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew I had a new perspective on life. I was no longer just Maria, the outgoing woman who could talk to anyone. I was someone who had seen the other side, and I was ready to face whatever came next. Ready for spine-chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts? Subscribe to Forgotten Storyteller for eerie narrations, unsettling mysteries, and haunting stories you won't forget. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, because some stories refuse to stay buried. Join us, if you dare.